welcome everyone. My name is Deanna Del Solar, and I am from the marketing team here at VividCharts, and I'll be helping to moderate today's webinar, Perfecting PMO Operations with VividCharts, the Western and Southern Success Story. So thank you all for joining us today. We're really excited to share Western and Southern story with you. It looks like we are ready to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton over to VividCharts CEO and co-founder, Mitch Stutler.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody, this is Mitch here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VividCharts, as just mentioned. Really happy to have everybody on here. We've got some great stories to be shared here from the Western and Southern team. Specifically, we've got Ryan Klein from Western and Southern, who is an IT PMO analyst and just an all-around VividCharts guru. I would say he's used the product quite a bit and knows ITBM reporting inside and out on the ServiceNow platform. Along with him, we also have Andrew Gruden from Western and Southern, who is currently the PMO Program Management Delivery Director. He's going to share some of their experiences with reporting in the ITBM space and what they've been doing on the platform, and really ultimately what landed them with us, VividCharts here. And with that, I'll give a little bit of background on VividCharts before going over a quick little agenda before handing it off to the Western and Southern team. For those of you who don't know who we are, VividCharts, we are a ServiceNow Elite Technology Partner, which essentially means we have an app available in the ServiceNow store. Our app is one of the top 3 rated apps in the store. So if you go to store.servicenow.com, you'll see us right up at the top there. And really, we are hyper-focused on in-platform reporting, specifically reporting automation whenever possible. And that'll be a pretty common theme. And I think a lot of what we'll hear about today will probably resonate with a lot of you all, especially in the PMO or the ITBM space. And we really feel like we've got a platform on top of ServiceNow's platform that can help you solve a lot of reporting challenges you're running into, and ideally help you eliminate a lot of manual reporting that's going on right now with your ServiceNow data. So again, happy to have you all here. Hopefully we all learn a little bit. And now I'll run through a quick agenda here. So you really just heard the VividCharts backstory. We're going to get a little bit of backstory from the Western and Southern team as well. And then Andrew from Western and Southern will talk about their journey to VividCharts. And then we'll move into their monthly project review, which then ultimately led to automating business case reviews. And that'll help give the big picture of the benefits that come with working with VividCharts. And probably the thing that everyone here is most interested in is really lessons learned along the way. So Western and Southern has sort of blazed this trail already that a lot of you might be on right now or thinking about entering. And so we'll get to learn a lot from them and what they've done. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Andrew so he could talk a little bit about Western and Southern's backstory and just start hearing his story in general. So take it away, Andrew, and thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch, for the introduction. And just wanted to say, appreciate Ryan Klein joining me as a co-presenter today on how we're leveraging VividCharts at Western and Southern. So a little background on Western and Southern. We're a financial services organization, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio, was founded in 1888. We take a long-term view to our products and services that we provide. We operate through a family of companies which distribute those products as well as through distribution channels to really focus on helping families, individuals, businesses, foundations, and nonprofits meet their financial stability needs. Our products primarily are focused on insurance, investments, and retirement solutions. Close to a decade ago, Western and Southern began its journey on the ServiceNow platform, where I imagine most companies began with ServiceNow in the IT service management module. The focus there was on incident management, change management, use of the CMDB. On our roadmap, our CIO always had the vision that this would become our one centralized platform for all IT work. 4 years ago, we stood up our first release on the IT business management module to support the functions of the PMO and the strategic portfolio management aspects, starting with demand intake all the way through project delivery. Additionally, we utilize the ITBM module for time reporting, resource management, and as part of our overall ITIL approach. In alignment with what we are accomplishing here, two of our guiding principles of our culture outlined how we approached leveraging the ServiceNow platform as well as VividCharts. First, we focus on executing with proficiency. The intent here is to keep the costs low to Western and Southern. And secondly, we want to leverage both platforms to help us make sensible decisions. We want to have effective use of the new data that we're capturing and allow the organization to chart a course forward based upon our historical trends. Another strength that Western and Southern has is our operational excellence program that really drives a mindset of continuous improvement across all parts of the organization. And you'll see that reflected in how we approached the VividCharts tool and adding value for our PMO. Through the implementation of strategic initiatives, the PMO is at the forefront of leading change at Western and Southern to deliver on business outcomes anywhere that IT plays a role, so that way Western and Southern is prepared for the future. Soon after our initial release of the ITBM module, we began to expand upon the initial basic reporting through ServiceNow's base reporting package and quickly ran into some limitations. We were working with an implementation partner at the time who provided two recommended approaches to improve our reporting capabilities. The first was to purchase ServiceNow's performance analytics tool. At that time, this was an unbudgeted expense and would be a significant additional cost to our organization. Their other recommendation was to leverage a third-party reporting tool that we already had on site and partner with our information management team to build reporting that met our needs. With those two options, we took the path of partnering with our information management group in order to meet our needs, but we ran into some clear challenges. First, we were having to dedicate our talented technical staff to building data extracts to deliver the data necessary to build the reporting. This slowed our overall velocity to meet other needs as we continued to develop the tool, as well as it built up additional technical debt that would need to be maintained as we continued to move forward. If we needed additional data to enhance a report, we need to first work through data extract changes before we could begin on making any modifications to the report. This prevented us from being responsive to our IT leaders and their needs. Because of the complexity of the data extract and load process, we kept the data set simple, but this also limited the depth of the insights that we could obtain. Our biggest challenge was the impact of the data not being real time. The reporting turnaround could take days at times, and with the speed of change occurring within project or resource management data, by the time the report was delivered, it was pretty much obsolete and didn't reflect the current circumstance. So after 6 months, we were losing hope that the third-party reporting approach outside of the tool could deliver the insights we were needing in a timely manner without a significant investment to build and maintain a complete replicated data environment. That's when our technical team member, Ryan Klein, attended a webinar just like this by VividCharts that showed us a better way forward. We saw VividCharts to be the antidote for both the costly performance analytics package offered by ServiceNow and the cumbersome process to integrate with a third-party reporting approach. With VividCharts, we found that the maintenance cost is low because it's built on the ServiceNow platform and receives regular updates in alignment with the releases of ServiceNow. The VividCharts interface was intuitive for building reporting. It offered a wide variety of reporting widgets, which had a modern style and could be expanded through custom coding. It gave us the power to build reporting to get the insights we were seeking and present the data to our stakeholders. And finally, it put real-time data at leadership's fingertips so they could trust the data was reflective of the current circumstances as they were looking to make key decisions for our organization. Part of the quality control plan that we have in our PMO is monthly project reviews. And this is where the PMs will provide a readout of their project to PM leadership as well as other key stakeholders. These sessions provide the ability to probe into project status and provide coaching on the project's direction. Initially, when we started this process before VividCharts, each PM would kind of present the content in their own way. And so we took an approach to establish a PowerPoint template with dedicated slides to cover specific topics. This template allowed for us to have a consistent approach that would streamline the discussions and allow for an apples to apples comparison of where projects stood. To achieve this result, though, there was a cost. This process took an hour to an hour and a half a month for the PM per project to compile the data into PowerPoint or either retyping content or pasting information into their slide deck out of the ServiceNow tool. Each deck was stored out on our SharePoint site, which took a few additional steps to navigate to and find. But we also had times where we ran into challenges where a particular review was uploaded but not checked in, preventing individuals from having access to that readout. We were also seeing there was a lot of duplicate effort being spent by the PMs as data was already stored in ServiceNow. And finally, the PowerPoint format, of course, wasn't locked down. So as each PM was adding their content, they would make changes that impacted the professional look and feel of these readouts. Now we'll go ahead and turn it over to Ryan to provide us a demo of what the monthly project reviews look like within ServiceNow.
Thanks for that, Andrew. I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen from you. So here we have a project within ServiceNow that created just for this event. So all this data on this project is make-believe, if you will. So what the solution that we came up with was, rather than having the PMs have to go to another page within ServiceNow just to get to the monthly project review, we embedded the monthly project review on the Analytics tab that's available on projects. So down here, there is a related link called Analytics View, and when you select that, it brings you into a different view for the project that gives you access to these different modules related to the project. And so directly here on the Analytics tab, we went ahead and embedded the monthly project review, which is a VividCharts narrative. And so here, the PMs can easily get to it, as well as PM leadership, as well as stakeholders. So it was an easy way for everyone involved in the monthly project review to be able to easily access the content on demand. So they weren't having to wait for someone to check in to PowerPoint or to make updates. So all of this data is real time. And every single time you open up a project, a new project, and select Analytics View, it essentially refreshes that narrative for you with the content for that project that you're viewing. So here on the first slide, just gives some high-level overview information of the current status of the project. So we have what the approved cost of the project is, how much has been spent to date on the project, as well as any open risks, issues, or decisions, as well as change requests, as well as the overall status of the project. And then we also have what the purpose and business outcomes of the project are, just so then that way, since we have anywhere between 20 to 40 projects running at a given time, it's just a quick refresher for all the stakeholders that attend these meetings to align to what the purpose and outcomes of the project are. And then moving on to the next slide, it dives a little bit deeper into the project status on the project. So this top section here just provides some high-level information of the project, such as plan percent complete, and just some identifying information. And then down here, we're pulling in from the current status report, the executive summary, as well as all of the KPIs that are captured for the current status, as well as the previous status. And then over here in the summary section, we're pulling in the information that's entered into the comments field for each one of these KPIs. And then we also have a field, path to green, that shows up here if you have any KPI that is not currently green. And then the next slide allows PMs to easily, because we usually, for our larger projects, use like Microsoft Project or TFS to manage like project tasks and everything. So on the stats report itself, we added another field that allows PMs to easily just copy and paste in like a high level view of their project schedule, which makes things a lot easier than having to hand type in some of like the high level tasks. And then the next slide is around financials. So on here, we have what we call project EACs, or estimate at complete. And this kind of shows for each of the different cost types we have here, what was approved, what we've spent to date, the remaining amount that we expect to spend, and then estimate at complete is the sum of actuals to date plus estimate to complete. And then the last three columns there just kind of give some indication of where we stand on the project. And then we also have some coloring here that will highlight cells that are out of tolerance. So for financials, we like to stay no more than 10% over budget and no more than 15% under budget. So if it ever falls out of that variance tolerance, then they'll highlight in red. And down here is just a list of all of our current project change requests. And we like to keep the total amount for all of our project change requests equal to what our approved baseline for total cost is. And then if these two don't equal, then there is an indicator that will pop up here in orange saying that the two don't match. And then the next three slides just dive a little bit deeper into the open risks, issues, and decisions. And these are just simple list charts that VividCharts offers out of the box. And then the last slide is around resource management, which is one of the modules within IT business management that we leverage. And so there's 4 separate columns that tell PMs different things regarding essentially the status of their resource plans, as well as time card data on the project. So the first column here is set up to display any resources that charge time to the project in the previous month where they didn't have a resource plan. And then the second column here, this shows any resource plans that are set to start within the next 60 days or have already started, where they're not yet allocated. And then the third column here is really helpful, especially on some of these larger projects where we might have 100+ resources working on it. So any resource that has a resource allocation on the project for the current month plus within the next 60 days, if they're more than 120% allocated for a given month, then they'll appear here with the current month and how much they're allocated. And then the final column here just helps PMs keep track of what they had planned for resources to spend on the project. So for instance here, Andrew was planned to work 5 hours last month, but didn't charge time to this project. So that's why his name's appearing here in this list. And then also what's nice about VividCharts is just in case you want to save this off as a PDF or PowerPoint, and make it really easy to be able to just download it to PowerPoint or PDF directly from here, which allows you to then create like a historical view of this monthly project review. And that's all I've got to demo. Unless we have extra time at the end, then I can show how data gets updated real time by updating like the current status report for the project and how that information then gets reflected on each of the slides.
Yeah, that was great, Ryan. Lots of good stuff. We've got some really good questions in the queue here. Let's hand it back over to Andrew. So we'll finish up the deck here, and then that'll give us the rest of the time to run through any questions that have been popping up here.
So how did this have an impact on Western and Southern? So once we had VividCharts installed in our instance, it only took about 2 weeks of time for our team to build out the initial version of the project monthly review narrative. We piloted this approach and made additional changes in the following weeks based upon feedback to adjust content as well as format. We then were able to roll this approach out to all of our project managers, and we started realizing the benefits of VividCharts. The PMs were now able to prepare their project management reviews in less than 30 minutes, saving an hour for each project each month. It allowed us to reapply nearly half an FTE capacity to more value-added responsibilities, such as managing risks and issues or working with stakeholders. It also increased our PM's adoption of the project record to be the single source for all project-related information, given the automated generation of this reporting. Lastly, the narrative format allowed for the consistent professional display of real-time data to our stakeholders. Having seen the benefits achieved through the monthly project reviews, the PMO took a similar approach to create a narrative to support our business case reviews, which are part of our demand intake process and used to gain approval to launch a program or project to be part of the strategic portfolio. We were able to achieve similar benefits to the project narrative in that we increased the information captured within the ServiceNow tool rather than files that were stored out on SharePoint. We had a consistent format and branding that allowed us to do the apples to apples comparison. When a PowerPoint was necessary to present, we were able to easily export that format and combine with additional PowerPoint materials for any readouts for leadership. And this was another joint win with our business analyst partners who are also part of the PMO, who were able to save valuable time and keep information current in the platform. By having VividCharts as part of our platform, it's enabling us to do more and be a more mature PMO. For most PMs, the administrative aspects of their role is not what brings them into work each day. By being innovative and leveraging technology like VividCharts, we're keeping the PMs engaged in advancing their projects, interacting with their teams, solving problems. That's the real thing they want to do every day. We've been able to then leverage VividCharts to present insights instead of just data. It's more powerful and efficient to inform a PM on where there are challenges and where they need to focus on addressing it, rather than the PM having to comb through a report to identify where a challenge might be. And a good example of that is what we did with the resource management, right? We are looking at, hey, these are the resources that you're planning on having, but they're over allocated. That could be a red flag. Or here are resources that were on your project and should have been doing work this month, but they've charged no time. And so by leveraging the technology, we can put those answers at their fingertips, and they can start taking action on those insights rather than trying to find those insights themselves. And then lastly, our customers are both the project sponsors along with the project team members. So with VividCharts, we created that capacity now for the PMs to invest more time to work with the customers instead of PowerPoint. So a couple lessons learned that really kind of stood out if you're getting your start moving forward with VividCharts. For our organization, whether you're part of a PMO or another organization, for us, the time that our PMs have is a valuable asset in our organization. And we were able to attach the value of the PM's time to the buy decision in gaining this operational efficiency to make a solid business case to eliminate that admin work and provide a simple hard dollar justification with a positive ROI, which we could easily secure approval on with our IT leadership. So with your organizations, take a look at where you can gain efficiency through reporting and by applying a tool like VividCharts. Next, we had spent about 6 months in attempts to make the third-party reporting approach meet our needs. Ultimately, all of that work was throwaway. Once we saw what it would take to satisfy the needs of IT leadership, that extensive build out of a complete data replication to then leverage the third-party tools, it was not going to be cost effective. And VividCharts, with its integration, sits on top of the data. It is low maintenance and is a much more effective approach. So, that's probably the biggest lesson learned. If you're struggling with reporting, we invested a lot of time and learned from what we found. And lastly, you need to make sure to establish champions for VividCharts at a technical, management, and IT leadership level. Each level has its unique interests on how the tool can be leveraged, and through a shared vision at all of these levels, we were able to align and get accomplished a lot of benefit in a very short period of time. And we've continued to leverage that partnership in finding new ways to get value out of the tool. So what's next for Western and Southern and VividCharts? So we have a couple of things that are out on our roadmap that we are going to be looking into over the next 12 months. As we continue to mature as a PMO, we are looking at program level status reporting as what is offered as part of the out-of-the-box reports are not meeting the needs of our sponsors and IT leadership. So we're going to be working with the VividCharts tool to build something out that meets that purpose. With our strategic portfolio, we have a lot of cross-project dependencies, and we call that interdependency management within our organization. And that could be around particular deliverables for capabilities or functionality within a particular system or tool that another project needs in order to execute and deliver their business outcomes, or it can be key resources that work is stacking up behind, and we need to have a sequence and alignment around this resource is going to complete this set of work, then move into perhaps doing two other sets of work in parallel, and then move on to this other set of work. But if that particular resource or team, I like to refer to them as single points of success. We like to closely manage those single points of success to make sure that those resources are transitioning successfully between one project to a next. And lastly, we are going to be implementing performance analytics from ServiceNow this year. And the big reason behind that is to have access to the historical trending information that allows us to have access to. And we'll be exploring how we can apply the VividCharts tool to those new data sets to provide additional insights. And Mitch, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Andrew and Ryan. That was great stuff. We've got a long list of questions, which is usually my favorite part here. One question I just wanted to clarify. I think I know the answer, Andrew, but just in case others are having this question as well. On that last slide, you referenced, try to avoid third-party reporting solutions. Would you clarify that as try to avoid out-of-platform reporting?
Yes, I would. That we were using another tool that was out of platform, so we had no way to directly tie into the data set, and that's one of the key advantages that VividCharts provides, is that you don't have to do any data integration work because the data is all right there.
Perfect. Yep, that makes total sense. Andrew, I've got another one for you here from the Q&A list. Just in general, how has the feedback been from the BAs and the PMs, and then additionally from the executives within Western and Southern that are interacting with this on a periodic basis?
Well, like any change that you go to implement, right? We had a group of early adopters who were very eager to take advantage of the tool, who were already doing a lot of data entry and really leveraging the project record to be that single source of truth for the projects they were managing. Once we had established some early wins, and that group of early adopters talked about how easy it was to now do their NPR through the tool, right? They kind of shared that excitement, and they helped other PMs then who were looking to adopt it come up to speed more quickly with what the early adopters had learned. And then, of course, just like as with all changes, right, we had a group of laggards. And so over this 3-month period, we did get to a point where we said, we've worked out any challenges that we had. We've seen the success. And now by this particular date, we expect that all PMs are going to be utilizing the monthly project review narrative. And we didn't really get any pushback. We thought we might have some, but we were able to kind of push that final group to that date and made the switch. And since then, I'd say the comment is we wouldn't want to go back. A number of staff have all spoken about how helpful and how easy this approach is. And our staff is not just associates. We also have contractors who we work with through a partner. And we've actually heard from contractors who've left Western and Southern that they miss our tools, they miss our platform, they miss what VividCharts was able to do because it made their job that easy. So it has had a really good impact to our organization, and the PMs are very happy with the tool. As far as leadership as well, they are glad to see the consistent display of data. They've become accustomed to what gets presented, and it does allow them to compare projects, either their status or in the case of the business cases, to see that apples to apples comparison and know that things are being presented in the same way each time.
That's great. That's really great, and it's always good to have that perspective of what that journey is going to look like from an adoption standpoint. Okay, Andrew, I think I'm going to shift over to a question for Ryan from the crowd here. Ryan, this is kind of a multi-part question. So the question is the project narrative. Did your company configure that yourself, or did VividCharts have to set that up for you? And I think before you answer that, it might be good in your own words to kind of explain what a narrative is, because that is sort of a VividCharts specific term.
Yeah, so the narrative, which is part of like the base VividCharts platform, essentially allows you to create an in-platform slide deck that pulls from that you can use to pull and display ServiceNow data real time, as well as on a dashboard or a narrative. You're also able to just hand key in freeform text, and then also since ServiceNow is really easy to integrate with other tools, you could also, I guess, grab data from other systems as well if you wanted to create visuals based on that data as well. But then as far as the actual setup of the narrative goes, so we definitely do have some custom visuals there. I'd say 65 to 70% of, actually, no, probably more like 80% of the content within that monthly project review is just using out of the box VividCharts widgets, not widgets, charts. And then the other 20%, they're like really simple visuals, essentially just creating like tables that mimic what we had already set up in PowerPoint previously, because we wanted to essentially mimic like that same template. So about 20% of like the visuals are custom, but I was able to simply just copy an out of the box VividCharts chart as like a starting point, and then just essentially rearrange it to the look and feel that we were looking for. So I was able to, I'd say 97% of it, I was able to do all by myself. But then the other 3%, which was like just getting started with building like the custom visuals, I reached out to Mitch and team, and 99% of the time responded within 30 minutes of me emailing him, even when it was well after 5. So made life a lot easier.
That's great. And this is sort of along the same lines, so I'll ask it now. Somebody asked, I want to know if the entire narrative can be downloaded in a single Pptx file, or is it different pages in separate decks?
It is a single PowerPoint, because you have the option of doing PDF or PowerPoint, and then on a dashboard, since a dashboard is just a single page, you can do that to PDF, or you can do it to, I believe, a PNG file if you just want it as an image. Yeah, it's really easy. It's just a click of a button, and then it downloads like any other document from the web. And then each narrative slide is its own slide within the same PowerPoint. I guess I could have just said that.
And it's pretty much, from your all's perspective, when you do those exports, is it pretty much what you see is what you're getting? Like, is it pretty high integrity as far as what you're viewing them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, I mean, like the quality of like the export, because there's certain like tools that I've used in the past, even exporting PDFs directly from ServiceNow, like using their out of the box export capability. Sometimes those images are a little grainy, but I haven't run into any issues with exporting the narrative or any other dashboard to PowerPoint or PDF.
Perfect. Okay, I've got another question here from the audience. I'm not sure if this one's going to be for Andrew or Ryan, so I'll just put it out there. did automating the reports influence platform data quality? And then like just my aside there, I think that's a really important question, and one of the big reasons why in-platform in-platform reporting is really important, but I'd like to get your all's take on it as well.
Andrew, do you want to take a run at that first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and speak to that. So yes, we definitely saw increased data being captured and the quality of the data. There were still, as I talked about kind of the adoption of the monthly project review, there were still PMs who were maintaining issue logs or decision logs outside of ServiceNow. And with the use of the tool and the display of that information through these reviews, they found that they didn't really want to do double entry, which is what they were going to have to do because we required that information to be part of the review. So that really kind of pushed them into, yes, I need to make that switch to start fully adopting the ServiceNow project record as the single source for all project information.
Perfect. This is sort of a follow-on question. It's a separate person asking, but have you seen any improvements in the relationship between the PMO and stakeholders in the business with this new dynamic that you all have created?
So I think it's kind of twofold, maybe even threefold, right? Our customers do like having a consistent set of communication approaches around project status and what is going on. And so the project narrative, the monthly review content provides that to them, right? They see that as a service level expectation, is that they're getting good quality information in a consistent form. And it doesn't matter if they had one project manager for one project and they changed to a different project manager for another project. They are getting the same level of service when it comes to that communication. Additionally, by lessening a PM's time on having to create communications and content, right, that then allows them to apply that extra time to tracking down resources or tracking down resource issues or tracking down risks and issues, or more time spent with the customer. And so this has a broader impact to how we can satisfy a customer's needs and provide a great customer experience, for our sponsors as well as team members, because the PM's not worrying about reporting, right? That's at their fingertips. And with the insights that we're able to provide to PMs, it's the similar impact in that, because a PM isn't having to go through a report and figure out who didn't charge time to my project this month when they should have, they can more quickly just start taking action on those particular exceptions in order to make sure that their project stays on track.
That's great. Thank you very much. The next question, I've gotten this 2 times now from 2 separate people here, and I'll answer my part and then I'll pass it over to you all. So, have you used VividCharts in other parts of the platform? Example, ITSM, CMDB, etc. So VividCharts is very much so horizontally applicable. Like any data that's in your environment can be used for VividCharts. ITBM has been a really hot area for us, but it's still like a really small percentage of the total use cases. So it very much so we are being used across the board throughout our customer base in ServiceNow. I'll let Andrew and Ryan answer. I know both of them in particular are in the project management organization, so they probably have a specific answer there. But I'd like to hear from you all if the rest of the organization has plans to eventually adopt this, or if it's right now looking like it's mainly the PMO taking interest at Western and Southern.
Right now, the tool is primarily used within the PMO as well as around operational work, not managed by the PMO. When it comes to ITSM, I know that there has been some ad hoc reporting or dashboards that have been created and shared with that group. But the ITP or the ITSM space, they have worked in the platform for a much longer time, and they had taken different approaches to meet their reporting needs. And they have definitely shown interest in the tool, but they have had a lot of effort put into establishing standard reporting that is helping them run their business, and they're continuing to utilize that for right now.
Got it. Thank you very much. The next question is probably for me. Are there any out-of-the-box portfolio or PMO reports and dashboards in VividCharts? So we actually do have what we call a Vivid Pack, which is essentially a separate app that sits on top of our base application that really solves vertical solutions. And we've got one that's around ITBM. And specifically what that solves today is it gives a really flexible project status reporting solution. And that's actually been a really hot area for us and our customers. And so we're going to continue to invest in that. So far we've got that in this space, but definitely keep an eye on us expanding just because we know we could help out in a lot of areas there. Okay, this one might be for Ryan. Not so much a question as a statement, but I'd like to hear your response on it. The question is, would love to see if there's some sort of dashboard UI where leadership can pull program or project status in real time. I guess that actually kind of goes to the answer I just put, but yeah, Ryan, what do you see there as far as people looking in real time? Like for current status, do you see that a lot? Is it not so much a need for you all?
I would say that's more of a question for Andrew, but
okay.
One of the nice things that I found with VividCharts compared to out-of-the-box ServiceNow reporting is just the ability to share dashboards and narratives with anyone in the organization. They don't have to be a rolled user within ServiceNow in order to see that information, which has been a real nice feature to have, which would make sharing some of like those reports or giving access to like a program status reporting dashboard to executives a lot easier than having to grant access person by person, like how you have to do with out-of-the-box ServiceNow reports.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Ryan, we've got another question. It says, was it difficult to get the Western and Southern branding applied? And how about the red and yellow status indicators?
Yeah, so especially with your guys' most recent release of VividCharts, being able to create like your own color theme to be applied to charts and everything is super duper easy to set up. You just have to input the color that you want, and you can organize that color palette in whatever order you want. So that's really easy. And then also the ability to add shapes as well as dashboard templates. So you could easily create a dashboard with like your company's logo and maybe some other styling elements and save that as a template. And then you could just use that template for each dashboard. But occasionally we've had a couple requests, especially for our most recent initiative, which is operational excellence. And they have like their own image that's used across all of the different business units at Western and Southern that are participating in operational excellence. So on that dashboard, we went ahead and just created a freeform text field, and we just pasted the image in there. So super easy to get any sort of branding onto a dashboard or narrative.
Perfect. Okay, I've got a question here that's probably more, it's to us at VividCharts. Do you have documentation on the features, functionality, example reports, report types, et cetera, that VividCharts provides above and beyond performance analytics? Yes, we definitely do. It's a good topic to touch on as well, though. So I'd say about 60% of our customers also have performance analytics. You definitely don't need it to use VividCharts, but if you have both, it's very much so a 1 + 1 = 3. We've got a pretty deep integration with performance analytics. So basically, we could take the data that PA does a really good job of collecting, more of that time series analysis, and we could help you visualize it in different ways that you maybe aren't able to do without VividCharts. And if you'd like more detail on that, please reach out to us directly, and we can definitely dig in with you and share a little bit more on that. Another question that came up that is probably for me as well. Can VividCharts be used as widgets on the ServiceNow portals like IT or HR portals? Absolutely, and that was really like one of our earlier value adds when we got started in 2018, was the flexibility to get these really detailed visualizations and really flexible visualizations wherever you needed them within your ServiceNow platform, whether that was a portal or inside the standard UI, whatever that was, we wanted to give you that flexibility. And also just make it look like it belongs, kind of like Ryan was talking about on the branding side. You can make these things look and feel like they are actually part of your portal. So it gives you that really all-encompassing experience that everybody's going after when they're really investing in the portal and those experiences. We still have quite a few questions here. Okay, here's a good one. What and how many resources were dedicated to training and set up for VividCharts? We are a small EPMO and planning for this now.
That is a great question. So I would say that I was definitely in the main resource that was dedicated to, well, not fully dedicated, but dedicated to setting up our initial use cases, which was the monthly project review and business case review. And as we iterated over it, through some of the different iterations, I'd say when I was first building it, I would spend maybe 10 to 15 hours a week on it, just initially getting it started. And then we've had a couple other resources start to build dashboards using VividCharts. But for our typical dashboarding request, really what takes longer than actually building the dashboard is just gathering all the right requirements. Because once you have those, then actually building the dashboard and adding styling and theming and all that takes less than an hour to get it looking professionally looking.
Yeah, that's great. And this question's somewhat of a follow-on to that. And I know we're coming up on time here, so we'll try to sneak a couple more in before wrapping up. What is the current effort from your ServiceNow platform admin team to deploy the new charts, dashboards, and narratives? And I think this is an important question because I think a lot of the folks on this call right now are probably in similar positions to you and Andrew, where you really work within the PMO and you're not necessarily ServiceNow admins, and you're probably pretty cognizant of their time and how busy they are. Do you have to rely on them much regarding VividCharts?
No, hardly at all. The only time that I leaned on some of our ServiceNow admins was when creating custom visuals that I just had a question or two on exactly how to grab the data and format it in the right way. But once you create your first dashboard, it's really easy to create new ones. And then with every upgrade that you guys release, since it just sits direct on top of ServiceNow and you're not manipulating any out of the box tables or anything, every upgrade takes us an hour or less to do the actual upgrade in one of our prod environments, test all of our existing dashboards to make sure they all work the same, impersonate different users to make sure that they see the same thing we do. So it's very low level of effort to keep the VividCharts platform up to date on the current release, and then building dashboards. Once you gain a little bit of experience with it, it's smooth sailing.
Awesome, good stuff. I think we're coming up on time here, and we were able to work through a lot of these questions. If you had a question that wasn't answered, please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'd be happy to give you those answers. to the best of our ability. Just like to thank everybody who was able to join today. I'd really like to thank Andrew and Ryan for sharing their story. It's a really powerful story, and I think a lot of people are sitting in your seats as well. So it's always good to hear from, peers at other organizations who have, are maybe a year further down the journey than you all might be. Just to get those lessons learned, I think is huge. So really appreciate it, everybody. And again, thank you very much for joining.